Hi everybody, welcome along to our live session with Nicky Byrne, myself Siobhan Butler from First Aid for Everyone with Nicky Byrne, and we're going to chat about CPR and the reasons I suppose we need CPR and well, lots of other things we're going to chat about. So thanks for the wave back there, Fionn, thank you. So we'll have a little agenda as we go on, but I did put out a question box beforehand, and in this question box was just some questions that you asked, and we'll cover those as the evening goes on. So we're going to just, I suppose, go through the reasons we'll do CPR. Nicky will be joining in a second, and he'll demonstrate on a mannequin that was delivered over earlier on today, and we will take it from there. So thanks for all the waves. Wave back to everyone again. And we are going to Nicky Byrne. There we go. Nicky's joining in here now, and we will get going. I've no idea how long this is going to last for, so we don't have an agenda. We're just going to. Oh, you have a lovely Christmas tree in the background, Nicky. There. Oh, I should have thought about that. I'm great. Long time no see. How are you?
Yes, I'm great. Thank you very much. I hope you like my tree.
I do.
The kids decorated that a few weeks ago, so we're quite proud of it.
Very good. Are they all there with you now?
Yes. Well, they're under strict instructions to keep it quiet. No fighting at this point. We're live to the world.
Same for the instructions here with Fionn. He was dying to join in there. So I think Nicky, we chatted about how we kind of go with this. Just wait maybe for a few more to get involved, and sure. I'll just give a little introduction about myself. Short and sweet, and then I suppose the reasons why CPR is so important. And everyone's saying hello to you, Nicky. Nobody's saying hello to me. So
hello everybody. I hope you're all ready for a nice Christmas, a very different Christmas, I might add, and with the year everybody's had. But hopefully, we can get through it, and I get better days on the horizon, I hope.
Please God. And I suppose this is as good a time as any, because we're at home a lot more. And learning a skill like CPR is invaluable. So we've a good few joined in now. We might get cracking there. So just to thank everybody, first of all, to thank Nicky. We both share a passion for CPR. Nicky's going to tell you the story later on, and when everyone's still waving. And I'll just explain myself and how we came to do this live tonight. And Nicky will be equipped there, Nicky, with your mannequin to demonstrate. We'll have to name him. We haven't thought of a name, and we'll have to think of something before the night, or maybe we'll ask people. So my name is Siobhan Butler, and for anyone that has known me or follows, I'm very passionate about CPR. My background is I'm a nurse, and hi Julie. My background is I'm a nurse, paediatric as well as general. So I worked in A&E for 10 years and somehow fell back into paediatric nursing. I have 4 children, and I suppose I did my first aid with them over the years. Just a couple of facts about CPR. I suppose everyone's aim, and you'll agree, Nicky, yourself, nobody ever wants to do it. But the idea, I suppose, is to learn. And as per the Irish Heart Foundation, I think you can tell about that yourself in a minute, but you kind of did the heart, listening to your heart and your brain. You can tell everyone that's a great little thing. But 70% of cardiac arrests happen in the home. And the research out there is that 70% happen in the home, and a huge proportion of us, if we do CPR, will do to somebody we know. Although I'm a nurse, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm as scared as anybody else, the thoughts of doing it. But one thing I do know for sure is that the quicker you get involved, so if somebody besides us collapses and we're there to witness it, a witnessed cardiac arrest, we double or triple our chances of their survival rate. So I suppose the whole idea is that if it happens, and we'll go through the process in a minute, that we will get involved, check if they're breathing, if they're not breathing. If they're not breathing, we're going to get out our phone, we're going to phone 112 and put our phone on speaker. And then when we get the phone on speaker, we'll listen to the dispatcher. But evidence supports that even what, Nicky, you're going to show us tonight, how to check, call and compress the chest, like I said, will double or triple the chances of survival. Other things we'll kind of get through, I suppose, are knowing where our nearest defibrillator is. And that's something that all of you, no matter where you live, I know there's people tuning in from all over the place, find out where your nearest defibrillator is. But if you don't have one, it doesn't matter. You're going to find the center of somebody's chest. You're going to keep your arms dead straight and lock them, and you're going to just keep on pressing to the tune of Staying Alive if you want. So I suppose everyone's probably wondering, Nicky, how you and I got to do this live. And Georgina, Nicky's wife, rang me or emailed there a couple of months ago to do a family and friends CPR course. So I had a great time. I went out to Nicky, Georgina, Rocco, Jay and Gia. And Gia is only 7. By God, she was able to press up and down in that chest, which proves the point that anyone, and if you're listening in, Gia, you were a little bit better than the boys. I have to say, you were particularly good. And she's small. Yeah, well done, Gia. You're a brave soldier, Gia. How's the finger?
How's your finger? It's getting better. Gia cut her finger last week, so yeah, we were in A&E and Temple Street, and they did a great job. So she's on the mend now, aren't you, baby?
She's on the mend. Yeah, great stuff. Don't forget to tell Santa about that, Gia.
Oh, and yeah, very important. Very important.
Put it in your letter if it's not sent already. And I suppose the reason that Nicky and I, for anyone was wondering, when we were out there, Nicky, you and your family, the 5 of you, all used the defibrillator, put them on amazing. They learned about choking on your own if you're on your own, choking if your siblings, your parent or whatever. And we decided that Nicky and myself are very passionate about CPR. And sure, what else would you be doing on the Thursday night in December? That's so, Nicky, you have a great story. It's sad, but you, I suppose, witnessed firsthand, you know, with your dad. And if you want to go ahead with that there, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's probably, you know, everybody on. It's no secret that, unfortunately, you know, I lost my dad. We lost our dad. My mom lost her husband to a heart attack in 2009, November 3rd, 2009. Unfortunately for my dad, unfortunately for everybody, there was nobody with him at the time. You know, he was in his office in work alone. Had he fallen anywhere else, possibly he might still be here today, because you know, if it was on the street, there would be people around. If it was at home, there would be people around. Even if it had been in a different part of his workplace that day, there would have been people around. Unluckily for everybody, he was, at that point when he actually fell, was alone. Nobody knew for a while later that you know, what had happened. And even though at that point, they still, when they discovered him, you know, they had a defibrillator. They defibbed him many times. They obviously called the fire brigade ambulance, and you know, they did everything. Unfortunately, it was too late for him. But I think from then on, I kind of became very interested in everything from heart attacks to how they present. You know, what's the chances of survival? You know, CPR. I was on a radio show on 2FM for a while. Like, we did a CPR a segment on that as well. We hooked up with the Irish Heart Foundation, and we did a year after my dad's passing. We did a big black tie ball for everybody that knew him to come along, and we raised quite a lot of money that was all put towards a TV and radio advert aimed at calling 999, 112, whatever, at the first sign of a heart attack. So I guess that's the background to it. I'm fascinated by it. Thankfully, I don't think I know I've never had to do it for real.
Thank God.
I do recall many moons ago. I'm not even sure the guy suffered a heart attack, but I was at Malahide train station when I was about 18 years of age, very early in the morning, and the platform was very packed. And when the train pulled up, this guy fell on the platform. Nobody really knew what to do. And remember, there's probably 100 people waiting to go to work, and many people walked by and got on the train. And I was stopped. There was about 4 or 5 people attending to him before I got to him. And I was a teenager. I didn't know what to do, so I didn't do anything, because I felt, well, look, I don't know what to do, and there's people there who, you know, seem to know what they're doing. But it always struck me that I never knew what happened to that guy. But it always struck me that you should know something. You should. Yeah. You should know something, and education is key in these scenarios. So when you came on board, Siobhan, and taught us at the house, I thought it was fascinating because even as young as Gia and Rocco and Jay, they all learned something, you know, and we'll go through it now. And I guess on this, you know, maybe people who don't know, you can kind of teach me again, and then people can learn along with me. And we have we have our victim lying down here, or whatever. We don't have a name for him yet, but he's only asleep at the moment. He's not struggling just yet. So but yeah, I mean, I think what you teach and how calm you are and your background, it's brilliant, really, to be honest.
Yeah. You made a very good point there, Nicky, which most people do make. And that's some of the questions that somebody asked me. Go into it later. You said, I didn't really know what to do. And that's the problem with a lot of people. Gosh, I don't know if I could do CPR, or what if I made it worse? And just to kind of reiterate those statistics, first of all, you double and triple somebody's chance of survival by getting the center of the chest. And you can't make it any worse, which I think is a problem that people have. Oh my God, will I make it any worse? And I suppose to kind of, you know, transport that knowledge to everybody here and everywhere, that you cannot make it any worse. And if you break a rib, you know, they can be fixed. And I was reading an article, a blog the other day. This lady said, I have 2 grandchildren aged 6 and 8. I'd like them to learn CPR. And this other lady came in and said, oh no, they're too young. But the day we were there with Gia, I mean, she's slight. She had her hands in the correct position. She kept them dead straight. She followed along. Now, you'd hate to think that you had to do that in real life, but, you know, she could do it, and she did it very well. So for anyone that...
But also, Siobhan, one of the important things you brought up immediately when you were in our house was making sure that the kids knew the air code. It's something as simple as that. You hope they would know what to do to call 112 or 999. But unless you tell them and explain to them and really show them how to do that and know the air code, and then, as you mentioned earlier, the dispatcher can help and remind the person to talk them through until help arrives, which is important.
And because you live in a gated area, and a lot of people might have a gate or electronics, and we'll go through this again a little bit more, but the air code is very important, no matter where you live, because I can see you're all coming in from Holland, Australia, Indonesia. Know your air code, because at the end of the day, this is called bystander CPR, and the ambulance can't be beamed out of the sky. It would be great, but you want to keep going, pressing on their chest, because you're putting oxygen to the brain. But we also want the ambulance to get to where we are. So www.aircode.ie for those of you in Ireland, and get your air code. Write it everywhere. Give it to your babysitters if they're minding your children. If you go on a trip, find out where your air code is, and then with the gated area, have somebody with the high vis, not in the middle of the road where you're going to get knocked down, but say in your place, Nicky, send one of the lads or send somebody, lads, open that gate and wave the arms. And that means they can get to you quicker. So what else do you remember about that? I'll do a little quick Q&A for the time I was out. Anything else you remembered? Because I know you've done it before, but...
I also remember I think it was you 4 minutes to react to give somebody the best chance of survival. And I know there's different types of heart attacks, and the chest compression will keep the heart pumping to keep the blood circulating to avoid things like brain damage, that, you know, if the person stays alive. I was quite interested at the time, because it happened after my dad, when the footballer Fabrice Muamba collapsed onto the pitch, and his heart stopped for 78 minutes. Now, I know he had the best of people, thankfully, close by, you know, the cardiologist in the stand, there's, you know, club doctors, everybody in ambulance ready to go. But I spoke to Fabrice. I actually met him a couple of years after that on Strictly Dancing. And I remember asking him what he remembered. And he basically said he remembers playing the game, but he doesn't remember anything after that. The next thing he remembers running around the pitch, and the next thing he remembers was waking up in hospital a couple of days later, or whatever it was, after they obviously sedated him, and had no recollection. And effectively, he was dead for 78 minutes, but made a full recovery. And that obviously had all the right people in the right places at the right time. But again, they did all the right things, from CPR, defibrillator, and everything was quick. So you know, like we said, and we have to say he had the best chance where he was live on telly in a Premier League game with the best of people around. But as you say all the time, you have to get active quickly and help immediately.
Yeah, exactly. So, and actually research was done there last year, and they were interviewed people that had been involved with CPR and people that had done a class, even live, which you're going to do tonight. When they had to use it in real life, they said the fact that they knew where to put their hands, even how far to press down, like 2 inches, 5 centimeters, that's pretty significant. And okay, nobody wants to think about doing it. But like I said, again, to just reiterate, you have a double or triple chance of survival, which is amazing. And like, not everyone has a defibrillator where they live, but maybe you're out on a night out, you might change your thinking and think, look, just while we're out at this party or wedding, whenever we get back to that, oh, there's a defibrillator. Because for every minute you pop a defibrillator in front of somebody that needs it, they have a 10% chance of survival. So 10%. So if you get it within 4 minutes, 40%. So, but saying that, we want to press on the chest and press up and down, literally keep going. It is recommended, and Nicky will show you, like I said, but that if there's somebody available to take over every 2 minutes, if it's possible, because you get tired. And this is a question that comes up all the time. Do I need to be trained? Absolutely not. As long as somebody is pressing on the chest and putting oxygen to the brain. And you mentioned that 4 minutes. You have a 4-minute supply of oxygen but in your body. But within 6 to 8 minutes, they have irreversible brain damage. So obviously, the better, if it's a witnessed cardiac arrest, you see it happening, you get in. Anything else you want to add, Nicky, there before you start saving lives and you're sitting on the floor there?
Well, no, I think you mentioned the 6 to 8 minutes. I mean, there's no ambulance ever going to get to your house in 6 to 8 minutes or to a workplace unless you live next door to the fire station. So that just highlights how important it is to get active and get quickly. And even if, you know, sometimes, and even when you were here and you were explaining it all to us, it might be hard to remember everything in the correct order. Yeah. And I know it's check, compress, etc. You know, you can obviously explain more. But the checking for me was always like, well, how do you know that somebody requires the chest compressions? You know, obviously ribs can be fixed, but you don't want to be trying to get a heart started if it's actually still beating.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So maybe we can start with that, where, you know, you can remind me or everybody how you know someone is suffering a cardiac arrest.
Yeah, so the cardiac arrest and the heart attack are actually two different things. And the Irish Heart Foundation, the website is brilliant. And I think you did the work with them as well that time with them. But I suppose things like our lifestyle, you know, family history, smoking, stress, all the factors that lead to somebody having a heart attack. And, you know, having all this knowledge is great. And a heart attack is not like the movies where they're grasping their chest and rolling all around the floor. So kind of symptoms of it would be maybe, for example, my father had a heart attack in 2004. He was complaining of indigestion for weeks beforehand. And he had all the factors, everything. So maybe a pain in the chest where they say they feel like there's an elephant sitting on the chest, or a pain radiating up and down the left arm, maybe the shoulder, the left side of the jaw. And knowing this, and thinking, okay, gosh, that pain isn't going away, and a pain scale, the pain is 10. They feel there's an elephant on the chest. But then we might be getting that call to say, I think somebody's having a heart attack. Whereas the cardiac arrest part is where the heart stops. So we need to make sure that we get onto the center of the chest and press up and down. What was the thing you did, Nicky, in the ad? It was very good. I'm just having a mental block because I'm getting so old now.
Yeah, you know, just before I do it, actually, I think it's good to highlight the complaints that my dad had was actually, like, he described it a couple of days before it happened as a hunger pain. So he passed away on Tuesday morning, but he was actually complaining of a hunger pain, a pain in the very bottom of his stomach since, I think it was since Sunday or maybe even Saturday night. My dad was an old school, old fashioned Irish dad. Hey, baby, okay? Go on up, mom, for a sec. Thanks, baby. And he was an old fashioned, so it wasn't the thing to do to go to the hospital and get checked. And had he got checked, you know, chances are it would have been a different outcome. So I think it's important they present differently. from what I've heard and learned over the years. It's not that clutch in the chest Hollywood heart attack as we see in the movies. And somebody says, "Tell my wife I love them," and fall and dies. It doesn't seem to be that. I've actually seen some on, you can actually Google footballers having heart attacks. They just drop. They could be giving out instructions on the pitch. All of a sudden they're on the ground. Nice. So there's many different types, but my dad's was that hunger pain. So a year after he died, I mentioned earlier, and I'll go into more detail, we did a big charity ball. It was very well supported because my dad was in a band, so he had like obviously his work friends, his neighbors, his musicians friends. We had about 500 or 600 people at that night. All the money raised went to shooting an ad for the Irish Heart Foundation. So there was we came up with the cartoon versions of a brain and of a heart. And basically it was trying to get into to touch on the I guess the thing that not Irish men in general or people in general don't phone an ambulance out of sheer embarrassment. So the story in the ad was, "Don't die of embarrassment, call 999 112 at the first sign of a heart attack." And it was different kind of setups. The one, the heart was beating, it was like a cartoon heart, and it was like a face and eyes in the heart, and it said, I don't feel great, I feel like my heart is tight, I feel a bit, like that's not going to work. And the brain was going, "Don't be so silly, you'll be fine, lie down, get some rest. I'm not calling it out, I'm not having our neighbors seeing blue lights coming down the road." What that's it. All these type of things that you might happen in your household, and you think, no, forget that. Call the ambulance and get working on it. So that's where the money went, and the ad was on radio and on TV. There was a couple of different versions of the ad.
It was brilliant.
And that was to commemorate that. And I think based on my dad having a pain in his stomach for 2 to 3 days and being an old-fashioned guy that would probably tell himself, "No, I'm going to be okay. This is going to pass," or whatever he might have been. And as I said, unfortunately for him, it didn't pass. It was a lot more serious. And unfortunately for him, when the heart attack took place, he was on his own. So that as a person who loses somebody, that played on my mind for years, because you never get the answers you want. You never find, did he struggle? What was he thinking? Did he call out our names? Did he die immediately? Did he, did it take 10 minutes? You never get those answers, So that it's not easy, it's not nice, but it's reality. So these type of things I think will help anybody, from walking down the street to, like I mentioned on Malahide platform all those years ago, train station. If you have a little bit of knowledge, it's better than having none. So
absolutely.
That's how I feel.
And you're very good to share that, Nicky, and some very valid points. That we'll all take this on board. The Irish thing to do is actually have a cup of tea and stick in a couple of sugars, you'll be grand. But if you're having repeated chest pain or the feeling of fullness that you mentioned, for the sake of going to your GP, getting your bloods done, family history plays a part. Prevention is better than cure. Sure, and you listen to this all the time. So.
But what, the thing about it is as well, like, you never think it's going to happen to you. And maybe it's not that you never think it's going to happen to you. You might sometimes think, God, that might happen one day. But when it happens, you don't get a second chance. And I think that's the thing that stands out. Even with Gia hurting her finger the other day, that could have been way worse. You don't get that second chance. So I guess build your knowledge as best you can and have it ready to go in the event of a disaster striking. It could happen anytime. You could be on your way out for a dinner. You could be sitting in the house watching a football match. You could be walking down the street. You just don't know.
Just don't know. And that's what, I suppose, it's so instant. You made a very good point about the ambulance. Because in Dublin, anyway, I don't know where anywhere else, but Nicky's in north side, I'm south side. So north side, south, east or west, the average call out time in the greater Dublin area is 10 to 12 minutes. So, you need this for that point. You can't wait 10 to 12 minutes. And like you said, Nicky, walking down the street. And so maybe, because my background, like I said, is A&E. I spent 10 years in A&E, and these are the stories you get. Exactly everything you said. Nobody plans to have a cardiac arrest when they're going down to buy a cup of coffee. They just don't. But maybe people tonight might say to themselves, if they're out and about and you see a crowd gathered, and maybe there's somebody on the ground, maybe step forward and say, can I help? And can I phone an ambulance? Because they might be all looking around going, I don't know what's wrong with them. And keep those 6 to 8 minutes in your mind. Very important. 2 questions that came up, and I'll ask you now, and we'll ask you again, but have you ever given CPR in real life? So you've kind of answered that there with the lad.
Yeah, no, never in real life. Only on this guy here who likes to, you know, I guess likes me to press his chest. He still hasn't woken up, but we're still going to work on him.
He's spending, that's my lad. My mannequin is spending Christmas with the Byrnes over there. And the other one is very good. Do you have I liked this question, whoever sent this in. I suppose this is valid for all of us on here tonight. Do you have enough knowledge to deliver CPR? Which is a very good question, isn't it?
It is. I don't think you can ever have enough knowledge. I have a little bit of knowledge now, but already I would still be worried about the checking, which is the first thing you need to do. In terms of the chest compression, I think I know where to do it, how hard to kind of keep pressing, certainly to the pace, to the beat, that type of stuff. And all the other things we touched on, phone an ambulance, you let them know where you are, all of the things, obviously, yes. But the checking is the one for me, whether it's, you know, knowing that that person hasn't just fainted or hasn't just, you know, had some sort of seizure and you're treating them for, you know, a heart attack, you know?
And I know you asked that question when I was out in your house as well. And that's a question that frightens people. Do I want to be doing CPR on somebody that doesn't need it? And what we'll say there is that if you come across somebody, and we'll go to the check called compress in a minute. I know I keep saying that, but we'll get to it. And you are thinking, are they breathing? Are they not breathing? You're always better off to do CPR on somebody that doesn't need it than to kind of eat into those very, very precious minutes thinking, oh my God, do they, don't they? Should I Google it? So we'll go through all of that. But I thought that question was great because it comes up on our classes all the time, the courses. And, you know, say I was in a supermarket doing it and nobody else had training. Just say, listen, Paddy, can you come over here? I just need to have a break because you get tired. So a fresh set of arms pressing up and down will keep them going and change over. So will we start? We need to name that lad. We'll have to get somebody to give us a name before the night's out.
We'll just call him something Christmassy.
Rudolph. We call him. Oh no, we don't want to be doing CPR on Rudolph. God, that might go down well with the kids.
No, not Santa. We can't call him Santa.
No, we can't call him Santa. Good grief. What are one of those lads named? The 7 those reindeer lads. One of those lads.
Dasher. We call him Dasher.
Dasher. That's it, Gio. We'll go with Dasher.
Right.
So poor old Dasher. So what I'm going to do there, Georgina, are you on camera duty there?
So Georgina's now holding the phone and I'm now down with the patient.
Brilliant. You can take that tissue out of his mouth because that was the cleaning wipe. So you definitely,
Okay, so that's nothing to do with his heart attack. That's
nothing to do with the heart attack, Nicky. He's just, we know he's clean. So what we're going to do is we're going to imagine that you walked into the room and Dasher was lying on the ground. And the first thing we want to make sure is that there is no danger because I'm no good. Nicky's no good to anybody if he gets electrocuted or anything. So we're going to look around the area to make sure there's no flexes, fumes, gases, wires, or any danger. And that can only take a couple of seconds. So when we've gone around and checked, we're going to come right up to the person, Nicky. We'll assume that we know this person because if it's somebody we don't know with all the COVID, that might be a bit different. So if you go over to the other side maybe and face Georgina with the camera, very good.
Right.
And put him to your side. You don't want to be straddling him there now, Nicky. No, the other way. Yeah, he has a set of legs in real life. So you're going to put one hand on each shoulder and you're just going to call his name. Dasher, Dasher, can you hear me?
So we're going to go, Dasher, Dasher.
Yeah.
So no response.
No response. So if there's somebody there, you're going to get them to make that phone call 112 if somebody is there. If not, then just put your hand on the forehead and tilt the airway back. Okay? And that relieves the tongue from the back of the airway. So keep one hand on the forehead and lift the airway back. And just have a little look there to see, can you put your head down a little bit? Can you see the chest rise? Can you hear it? And look at his chest, Nicky. So, and put your head right down. So for 1 second, 2 seconds, but put your head the other way so you can look at the chest at the same time. Very good. So we're going to count up to 5, but absolutely no more than 10 seconds. So 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4. Okay, up to 10 seconds. Dasher officially is not breathing. You haven't heard it, felt it, or seen it. So you're going to get Gia there to phone 112 and get an ambulance, or anybody there.
Phone 112 and get an ambulance to our address, but don't really do it, because this
don't
is not
really do it. And she knows the air code off by heart, so she'll give them the air code.
Yeah, don't say it now.
Yeah, very good. If you're on your own, Nicky, you're going to make that call, and we'll do it again in a second to recap, but you're going to put the phone on speaker, and they're going to ask you, what service do you want? And you're going to say, I want an ambulance. And then they're going to ask you your address, your air code, and what happened. Okay? So once we've done that, then we're going to find the center of the chest. You can pull up the t-shirt if you want, but generally we say the nipple line if it's in the original place. So the nipple line generally runs just below the armpit. So we're doing this kind of in slow motion. We'll do it again. Okay, very good. So the positioning is very, very important. So we're going to come right up on our knees, and we're going to lock our hands together. So I don't know if you remember from the last time, Nicky. So get those arms dead straight, and imagine there's 2 metal poles on your arms. So I don't know, Georgina, if you can move around slightly to show from the other angle. I don't know if you can do that. Yeah, excellent. So you can see there that Nicky is leaning right in over, and we're going to do the compressions, and I'm going to count with you, okay? And you can count in your head. So the rhythm is, off we go. Heel of the hand in the center of the chest, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, 10 and 11 and 12 and 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So we're going to keep going. We have checked, we have called for emergency service, and now we're going to compress the chest. So we'll just keep going for a couple of minutes, maybe 25 minutes. I'm only joking. We go for 2 minutes. So keep those elbows dead straight. Now you're a good singer, Nicky. You could be singing "Staying Alive" there now and have it in tune. So
staying alive, staying alive.
I wouldn't even, yeah. So keep those elbows dead straight and keep on pressing about 5 centimeters in depth. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So after about 5 of those cycles, or about 2 minutes, you're going to get somebody to take over if they're available. If there's anyone there that wants to do it, by all means do. But if there's somebody available, try and get them in, because you will get tired. Now, obviously, if you're on your own, there's nothing you can do except keep on.
Well, like it's like it's not easy, because it's like it's hard to do that because you're pushing bone. It's tough.
Yeah.
Like I'm already out of breath, and I've done that for what, a minute, 2 minutes. So
less than
an ambulance is going to take 15 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be easy, but so the rhythm would be the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that equates to 100 to 120 beats per minute. Or you can sing the "Staying Alive" in your head. You can whatever, because otherwise you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll be going very fast. Somebody just came in with a question there about rescue breathing. So this is purely, we're going to press hard and fast in the chest for the lay person doing CPR. Because first of all, if you're down in a supermarket, you're not really going to want to pop your mouth in somebody else's mouth. And, you know, maybe they have vomited. Yeah. So if they vomit, you turn their head to the side, wipe that out, and then continue on. So when do you stop? You stop when they give you a response, when they cough, they move, they cry. Loads of people, Nicky, are saying, "Nicky, can you sing 'Staying Alive'?" So we're not sure if that's from the CPR point, or they just want to hear you singing. But
there's a good question. Are the hand positions different for a young child?
Yeah. So we'll just do one child there while you're there if you want then. So if you want to go back to the mannequin again, the position is always the same. So heel of the hand in between the nipple line. For a child between 1 and 8. So 1 till 8 are puberty. We use one hand. So if I can get you to just take one hand on the chest, Nicky, there, heel of the hand. The key thing is to look at your arm, and is your shoulder directly parallel to your hand? So you're pressing right down, because otherwise it's going to be very, very difficult. Yeah. So lock your elbows. That's the best. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are staying alive, staying alive. Whatever floats your boat, as long as you're doing that rhythm, it's 100 to 120 beats per minute. Okay?
So you say one hand for a child from the age of 1 to 8, yeah?
1 till 8 are puberty.
Okay.
And then over that, 2 hands locked together. So you can either lock them like this.
Yeah.
So I've done this loads of times in real life. To me, I found this the easiest. But as long as your arms are straight and you're pushing all your body weight down, if you hear a rib crack, just move your hand back to the center of the chest.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to just do a run through with Dasher there again?
Yeah.
Just to kind of, yeah. Somebody's saying there it's like a workout. If you're doing this and you're not feeling it, well, then you might not be pressing hard enough. Somebody's asking about under 1, but our Facebook page is at firstaidforeveryone.ie, and I did a video recently on the baby. So if you want to get onto that, have a look at that. But so we'll just imagine again, we've walked into the room.
Okay, so we're going Dasher.
Yeah, Dasher, very good.
Dasher. So, okay, so we're going to listen.
Yeah, open the airway, hand on the forward to lift the airway back. Yeah, so because it might be blocking the airway, it might be blocked by the tongue. Okay, so we've established
Dasher's not breathing. I've established
not breathing. So what are you going to do now? So you're going to get that call out first.
So when I put my hands here, Siobhan, obviously his airway is going to close again. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Don't forget to get that call out, Nicky. 112. Put your phone on speaker.
Okay, so we're calling 112. We're giving the address, air code, and then we're telling them what's happened, and we're starting compressions.
Yeah. So let's just pretend you're ringing me and I'm the emergency service. You're on your own. So hello, emergency services. What service do you require?
I have a patient on the ground here. I think he might be suffering a heart attack. He's not breathing. My address is XYZ. My air code is ABC. Get an ambulance immediately. I'm going to start chest compressions.
Okay. Now, very good, Nicky. But when they'll ask you what service, because in Ireland, and it's different for other countries, Ireland is 112, and that's the number from the ambulance, the fire brigade, and the guards. It's very, very important that you count to 10 seconds in your head and think, okay, I need to get an ambulance, and stay as calm as I can, because once I'm on to the dispatcher, and that's the same in every country, they will talk you through everything. So we know they're not breathing. So move yourself in a little bit there, Nicky, just so you're actually leaning over Dasher. Okay. So ready, steady, and 1 and 2 and 3
and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8.
Excellent. Very good. Excellent.
Now, if our patient starts to cough, breathe, we stop.
You stop, and then you put them over on the side. So tell Dasher now he's had a bit of an event. He might be out of action for Christmas Eve, and you're going to keep him on his side.
You're not going to have a pint anytime soon, so we're just going to put you in a recovery position.
Yeah.
And wait for emergency services to arrive. Now, Siobhan, can it happen that patient comes back around and then stops breathing again?
Yeah, it absolutely can. Can I just get you to put him on his side again and show you what to do with the airway? So put him over on his side, lift that airway back. So you can see that you've tilted the head back, and then you're going to keep a very close eye on him, because if he stops breathing again, we're going to get him right back on his back. So CPR is done on a hard, flat surface. Okay. So God forbid if they're in a bed, either get them onto the ground, get them by the legs onto the ground, or else stick an ironing board, a chopping board onto their back and get up on that bed and press that chest as best you can there.
Okay.
So he stopped breathing again. If that happens, back on his back again, heel of the hand, center of the chest, lock those arms, and off you go again. Yeah, very good compressions. Excellent. Just another point, Nicky, there, and about the heart attack bit. I read an article last year, early this year, actually, January, about a lad that wrote into the paper. And to be honest with you, for me as well, it was a great thing to know. If you're on your own at home and there's nobody there, and I think I'm having a heart attack, get over near to the front door if you can. If you have your gates, open them, unlock your front door, and make it as easy as possible for the emergency services to get to you, rather than having to break their way in and close doors. Get and say to them, I'm at the front door, in case you collapse.
Yeah.
And then you're like, so the quicker they get to you, the better the chance there then.
Okay.
Anything else you want to ask or yourself or add, Nicky, from the campaign you did, or anything else that stood out?
No, not really. No, I think, even just doing it there, and from a few months back when you first taught us, it's not easy. You have to understand that you have to expect, that it's not easy. A chest bone to push down as hard as that.
Hard. Yeah.
It's going to be tough. So,
yeah.
And as you said, it's easy. It's better to break a rib and let the rib repair than let somebody slip away. So the harder you can do that at that pace keeps that heart pumping until help arrives.
Yeah. And you asked a very good question today when we were chatting. Like, do we decide, I think that's it, I'll stop. But the aim of all of this, I suppose, is this is kind of first aid, and it's all in the word. So the aim is that I'll keep going until the services get there. Now, from a personal point of view, I've done it in real life, in hospital and out. You get this adrenaline rush. It's like you're taking speed, and you get such a focus. But, I left that with you to practice, and I might do a little test on you all, because that's very realistic to real life, that mannequin. Because that's hard, isn't it, Nicky? It's not easy to press that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, one thing just to clarify, you mentioned it earlier. Should you be given mouth to mouth or not? Does it help? Is it an extra help if you do?
But I suppose the teaching from the layperson CPR, like what we're doing here, we don't want to delay being off the chest. So, when you tilt the head back, you're opening the airway, you're taking the tongue forward. But they feel for lay people that pressing on the chest is enough, because you have that 4-minute supply of oxygen here. That's the 4 minutes you mentioned. So obviously the quicker you get down and put that'll keep circulating up to the brain. But obviously as time goes on, so we just focus on, we have 4 minutes for witness cardiac arrest, and then when you're pressing, you're putting it up to the brain. There's a huge amount of people here asking about the mouth to mouth. Honestly, I've been a nurse for 27 years, and I honestly can tell you, I don't think in real life, outside of the family or anyone I didn't know, would I have done mouth to mouth, because people do vomit. And even with your own family, Nicky, you might think I would do mouth to mouth. People don't really, and then you're wasting time pressing on the chest. So we'll focus on check. Are they breathing? Call 112 and compress that chest and keep going until they wake up, till the services come, or till you're too exhausted to keep going.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add yourself there?
Well, a couple of people asking, should you update your CPR course every year, once a year?
Yeah. Well, they recommend every 2 years, and obviously people use this for insurance for workplaces. I'm biased. I think, you know what, you can never have enough knowledge. Do a Zoom course, get even something like this. But, when the Corona is finished, please God, get a class, press on one of those things for real life, just to feel what it's like, because it gives you a little fair idea of, the similarities. Because my eyesight's so bad, I can't really see all those questions. Anything else that we could cover, or anything else people have asked, I suppose?
Let me see, have a look.
Everyone should be trained to do this. And again, you're absolutely right. But just to reiterate that you can do it if you're not trained. So, if you come across somebody, don't be thinking I'm not trained. Center of the chest. So that's just below the armpit. heel of the hand, center of the chest, and just go hell for leather. That's the best piece of advice there.
Yeah. But the thing, I mean, to save people, I guess, the best thing is, as you said, you got to check if they're breathing, then chest compression and call for help. You know what I mean? They're the things. And do something.
Yeah. So somebody's asking, same for older people. It's the same for everybody. I did once upon a time crack an old lady's rib. I heard it actually crack. I was quite a young, newly qualified nurse, and I was like, and somebody screamed at me, keep going. And I even though I knew that, gosh, it sounds, but I suppose once you know that now in advance, okay, the ribs, as you said, Nicky, heal them, but get that heel on there and the center of the chest. You asked the question yourself there, what about if they're fainted or, maybe they've had a seizure and they're post-seizure. Once you open their airway and you listen for the 10 seconds, like in 10 seconds by putting your cheek over listening, if you haven't heard it, felt it or seen it, center the chest and keep on going. It always comes back to that.
Some people joining late, some people saying, what about younger people? So it's one hand for the compression for age 1 to 8 or up to puberty. And then what about, as you said, as an 80-year-old or an elder person with brittle bones? You still...
but very good question. I suppose that would kind of make you hesitate. But, as you can see on the mannequin, Nicky, you're pressing down on a bone. And that the sternum is the bone. So the sternum is the bone here that joins the rib cage together. You still need to press that to get to the heart. So that's your breastbone. You still need to press that 5 centimeters to open up the ventricles of the heart to push the oxygen up to the brain. So don't worry about, sorry.
No, I just wondered, do you always have to lock your hands or can you keep your hands straight?
Well, I suppose locking would mean, so like that, and you would literally feel them locked. Whereas if they're anyway bent, you can see the bend, you're not going to be able to press up and down. And you can practice that yourself, over Christmas. Like I said, if you're getting sick of board games, take out Dasher there. But practice the difference between locking your arms and then just unlock them, and you'll see the difference. You won't be able to press down.
I think it's right. I mean, definitely if you lock your fingers and keep your arms straight, you can get more power into getting that compression up and down. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, for sure. And can I just ask you, Nicky, just on yourself to show people, because there's a couple of them saying, I'm not sure of the position. So I'll just talk you through it on you, just to show on yourself. So just armpit to armpit, and then the heel of the hand in the center. So the heel of the hand is right on the center. So, So even just to, even just to put your own hand on your own chest.
Oh, my own chest, sorry.
Yeah, just to show people they're a bit confused as to the position.
So about there.
Just
so
up
that's my kind of nipple line and breastbone kind of there.
So up a little bit more. So put your hand up above that. Yeah, and place the heel of your hand there so everyone can get it. Yeah, absolutely perfect. So for anyone that was asking, the nipple line, the lads are quite lucky. Their nipple lines don't shift. As women, you might notice that there might be a bit of but it's still the same position of where you'd like them to be. Okay? Somebody asked a very good question about what if somebody's driving in a car, which as an A&E nurse, I've seen that. But you need to think of that danger that we mentioned. There's no point jamming the brakes on your car in the middle of the M50 because there's going to be more than the driver injured. Get your hazards on, get into the hard shoulder. I spoke to you when I was over in your house about the high-vis jacket, and then get them onto the ground if you can. If you can't, back seat, anywhere, but get them onto the hard, flat surface. You can only do your best, and something is always better than nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Anything else anyone wants to ask, or anything you want to add yourself, Nicky, there? Or?
Somebody was asking me to take my jumper off to show you my chest bone. I don't think that's going to happen.
You didn't ask me, Nicky.
Did you have to tilt the head first? That's to check if you got to clear the airways to check their breathing whilst listening into the open mouth, whilst looking at the breast to see if it's rising up and down, and count to 10 pretty much in your head to see.
In yours, it's 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4. Let me just explain about the tongue. and why the importance of lifting the airway back. This is your airway, this is your tongue. This is very basic. Okay, so we're all sitting pretty much like this. When you become unresponsive, so my airway is there, I'm breathing in. When you become unresponsive, your tongue sits on the airway. And you know this from the football, Nicky, and I think we even discussed that in your house that day. Can you swallow your tongue? It's virtually impossible. But what happens is it sits on the airway. So that's why that head tilt chin lift is very important. Otherwise, you're listening and their airway is blocked because the tongue is sitting on it. So, you know, I'll send you all the stuff out later for yourselves to do the check and opening the airway. I think Georgina might have that from the last one anyway. But, you know, practice the opening of the airway. And, you know, everyone that's here tonight, you know, get your friend, your cousin, your granny, and don't ever press on their chest. But, you know, simulation is a great, you know, and I hope you never need to use it.
A few people ask now, you're going to save the video and put it up again.
I think, will I say I'd save it then, will I? And
yeah, I think it's probably good. And I know you do all different people asking about epileptic fits and choking. I know this isn't about choking, but what you showed us that I never thought of, if you're in a house alone and you choke, nobody there to save you, you know, to be able to literally push yourself off something lower than you, like a couch or something, to try and, you know, kind of pop it, like the way you would give a child or something.
Exactly.
The maneuver. So I thought that was amazing. So I guess some of your videos are up for people to see.
Or we do videos all the time. Myself and my little guy, Fionn, who's the same age as Jay and Rocco. He did a video the other night of if he was on his own at home, putting himself, I don't know if you have access there, but I know I did it on that couch in your house. Are you in a position to show people? Because last year in Ireland, 125 people died from choking. So that could be one of the reasons you'd find somebody. I know we focused on heart attacks, but maybe you're at home minding your own business and somebody chokes. And they, you know, so I don't know if you can demonstrate that there, but like you'll find like a kitchen press, or sorry, a kitchen worktop, a sofa, and just throw yourself over it.
One thing as well, Siobhan, you mentioned to me earlier, and being Christmas time, I always remember reading a horrible story of a young child that had swallowed a battery, and they didn't know, and unfortunately that child passed away because they didn't know, you know, they didn't get to, they brought it to the hospital or hurt the hospital. But so what should you do if a child swallows a small battery?
So I actually did that on Monday. It's in my highlights, and I actually did, for anyone that's here, it's on highlights under button battery. And I did a little experiment where I used a piece of chicken and I embedded a button battery in it. And an hour later, there's a burn mark already on the ham. I put that up. So unfortunately, and I know like G is old enough to not put batteries in their mouth, but sometimes people put a battery in their mouth because they're changing something. And it's very easy for adults as well, not just children, to swallow it. It's a very bad practice. You don't always know immediately that a child has swallowed a battery. That's what's quite frightening. And as it makes its way down, it can cause, a chemical is released from them, and it can cause a burn to the windpipe, the esophagus. They can have excessive drooling. Or if they tell you I swallowed a battery, get into hospital immediately. They need to x-ray it and they need to get it out. So they need, now some of them will pass through with no effect at all, but I wouldn't be taking that chance. But so you need to get into hospital, Nicky, is the answer to that. But have a look on the highlights. I only did it on Monday because it's huge at Christmas. And that little girl, actually, that was about 5 years ago, I think. And they didn't realize that she'd swallowed it. And then she started having difficulty breathing and kind of, and they said, oh my God, what's going on here? And they phoned an ambulance and got her in. And they showed an x-ray. Her parents did a massive post on it. And you could actually see the burn mark where the battery had started, the chemical release. So, you know, coming up to Christmas, just while we're at it, but, you know, look how many of your toys have batteries, your remote controls have batteries. You know, if you have a dog in the house, be mindful of your dogs. You know, look at all your equipment. And if your children, even Christmas cards come with batteries. So put duct tape on them, take them out before the kids get them or get their hands, the small children. And, you know, all those safety things around the house. You know, we could go on forever, Nicky, here, couldn't we, with all the bits, climbing up on furniture. You know, kids climb, that's what they do. But, you know, checking all these things that, you know, child-proofing your toys before your children play with them.
But Siobhan, you cover all these type of stuff on
all of it. Yeah.
Okay, that's really helpful.
All of those. Yeah, to cover all of those. But anyone, I know there's a lot of people here that have children, and you know, because of time constraints, and Nicky has to go and practice singing Staying Alive when we hang up. But get on to, if you want, First Aid for Everyone, because I do it just as a hobby, but there's a lot of stuff, and people would say, would you cover such and such a thing? So, you know, I covered amputated fingers coincidentally about 3 weeks ago, getting the fingers cut in the door. Don't ever be afraid to phone the ambulance either, because like you said, Nicky, and that you're so true, people are terrified of putting them out. Don't want to bother the ambulance. I'll be grand. You're better off to be in an A&E department than.
But that's what they're there for. I mean, I've talked to ambulance guys like that before, and they always say that we'd rather get the call to say that we're not needed. You know, that's what they're there for.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And if you do phone them and then think, I don't need it anymore, just phone them back. Just as a matter of interest, how long were you waiting on Friday then for one?
Not long, maybe 15 minutes.
Okay.
Not long, and I've gone to the dispatcher who talked us through to help us trying to stop the bleeding on her finger. You know, so it was okay. But we were lucky.
Yeah.
She's okay now, thanks.
Yeah, and that's great. Yeah, 15 minutes, because it's the anxiety of waiting, isn't it? It's like, oh my God, I just want to be there now. So I think if nobody's any questions, or if anybody has any other things you want to put in there quickly. Everyone's saying thanks to us. Thank you very much. Thanks to Nicky. And hopefully between the two of us, you've learned something. Dasher is alive, and
yes, he's alive.
Out.
He's already gone up to make himself a salad now, chicken salad.
a pint of Guinness. And yes, I'll give you all Nicky's address in a minute. So if you can just be joking.
Last question, about a lot of people asking, should it be taught CPR in schools? Do you believe so?
We do a lot in 5th and 6th classes, but that's not compulsory. It's just something that Irish schools do, and in secondary schools in Ireland they do it, and there's also a CPR program for schools. But they do. It's not mandatory. If that's what people are, it's not mandatory. But put it to your principal, where you're ringing and say, look, I'd love to get for the kids. You know. They could, put that in, but do it for everyone. Nothing beats the real hands-on, and you'll testify to that there, Nicky. I mean, but so Nicky Byrne is famous for football, singing, and getting a mannequin called Dasher live. That's
back to life.
Yeah, and just to say thanks, Georgina, for your camera work. Well done. You're very patient. Hard work for an hour there. So I have to get my daughter to log off, so I'm hoping when she hears me saying this, because I don't know how to do all this.
No problem. Well, listen, Siobhan, thanks very much, and have a very Merry Christmas. And we'll see you in the new year.
Please God, thanks a million. Safe home, we're all at home. Happy Christmas. God bless everybody. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Thank you all. Bye. I have to sit here and smile until my daughter comes in and shows me how to get off the live.